Good morning, wherever you are. It's time for the Monday Minute with the Poppy of the Paranormal. I'm Kristen Paul. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It was actually a little on the warm side where I am, like high 50s. Pretty unusual for this time of the year, but we're going to take it. Of course, we have Jan with us, as always. And we got some goodies to talk about today. This is going to be a little bit different of a show today. But let's dive right in and get into some para-related scenarios. Number one on the show today, Age of Disclosure. Now, I'm sure the majority are you going, just what is he talking about? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, I don't know where you stand on the whole, pardon me, UFO topic. Some people are believers, some people are not. There are certain elements of the clergy that think UFOs are actually demons. Age of Disclosure, what it is it's a movie, and what it's talking about is the UFO or UAP situation in America. Many high-ranking people are in this movie, including Marco Rubio, for instance. The typical fighter pilots that were on the Senate hearing. I don't know if anybody saw that. Anyway, you can rent this movie on Amazon Prime. We watched it on Saturday. There was a few things in there very informative and made sense to me. So, Age of Disclosure, it's on Amazon Prime. If you're into the UFO thing or just want to know more about what the government has lied about and haven't told you, check it out. Age of Disclosure, Amazon Prime. Okay, we're going to move on from there. So in the setup for today's show, I had made two comments for the minute this morning. And we're going to cover both of those. First thing we're going to talk about is podcasts. Now, we have been on a few podcasts within the last 10 years. And we've also been stood up by a few podcasts in the last 10 years. Which is why I did not advertise this podcast that I was scheduled to be on. Now, here's the difference in this one. And I'm not going to bring up any names here. I will say the podcast is based out of Florida. It's a little bit bigger of a name, more like a sponsored thing. I was really excited about it because it's the only podcast that I had been on. I had put it out there that I was available. I was invited on. Okay, I wasn't hacking in or muscling into anything. Okay. Set up a day, an approximate time. And as that day approached, nothing. absolutely ghosted. Now, not that I'm surprised per se, because this has happened before, but seeing that this is a bigger platform, number one. Number two is, this podcast actually had me fill out little things like, topics to cover and that kind of thing, and, seeing that so many podcasts are talking maybe about an investigation or a situation, and everybody kind of covers the same thing. I wanted to get into things maybe a little more controversial, dig a little bit deeper. When you've done this as long as I have, your views kind of change, get skewed, not get screwed. Get skewed. And yeah. So, stood up by a bit. No, yes, no, or, I'm a big boy. I can handle it, but show the respect. Send that email and saying, we're no longer interested, you got canceled, this, that, or the other thing. I thought, quite literally, WTF, okay? That's enough of that. Moving on. All right. The other thing I wanted to touch upon today was something that came up through the course of going back and forth on group messaging last evening, which has really made a situation very, very interesting, to put it mildly, okay? Now, as a lot of you know, we did a private investigation in the town of Menominee Falls. Roughly, by now, I don't know, a month ago, 5 weeks ago. I don't remember exactly, and that doesn't matter. Now, we had full reign of this building we were in. Part of it is a church. Part of it, it was like a church school kind of combination thing at one time. So, you got a church, and then they built this on, they added this on, they added that on. Kind of a typical thing. It kind of reminded me of Buffalo, Iowa, Sanctum of Souls, that we were in a few months back. Okay. So, anyway, doing review, and we were using the Panabox, got some stuff over the Panabox. We were using the Spirit Box, got some things over the Spirit Box. If you watched the last video clip up, it starts with a very loud and proud EVP that says, "No!" Now, what I find interesting about that particular segment of the clip that I posted is that even though the Spirit Box was running, when I listened to it closely, when I looked at it on a graph, I don't believe that comment actually came through the Spirit Box. Okay. Now, yes, I did amplify it a little bit to make it easier for everybody to hear it, but I don't believe that came through the Spirit Box. That was a freestanding EVP, shall we say. Where am I going with this? Well, this definitely gets better. Oftentimes as we go through review, And this had already happened at this location. I had gone through 5 or 6 clips. Couldn't find anything. No EVPs, no visual excitement, shall we say, anything. Now, Dennis, his body cam, on his rear body cam, he caught some good footage of an orb going right through a door. Now, my thought on orbs, 99.9% of the orbs I've seen are either dust or bugs. The remaining tenth of a percent are unexplained. I'll even lump the sheet anomaly in that classification. In fact, the sheet anomaly was one of the topics I wanted to talk about on that podcast I got stood up on. Maybe they don't have that anomaly in Florida? I'm not quite sure. I'm sure they do. Anyway, carrying on. All right. So, as we reviewed and Dennis is reviewing, we're not really finding a whole lot. And I will admit now, and Dennis knows this, and a few other people, when it comes to review, I don't necessarily do clips in order. I do clips that I'm drawn to. So it was kind of an interesting thing. At the time, Dennis had sent me 2 clips, the orb going through the door and the no in the Masonic Lodge. Video's up on the channel. You can watch both of those, okay? But when you watch the one with the no from the Masonic Lodge, it don't stop there. The next part of that video, very crucial. As I'm reviewing, this is on my front body cam. Dennis is ahead of me. And, over the years, I've reviewed a gazillion clips, to say the least, okay? And in doing that, you really train your head, your ears, how to listen. And this was a response, and when I first heard it, this was one of those responses that, now granted, no, I'm reviewing with headphones on. I didn't need to filter it. I didn't need to amplify it. I heard it, and I knew exactly what it said. Now I'm going to do a little sidebar here. I have been called out by name multiple times at multiple locations. I've heard other names called out multiple times, multiple locations. Okay. So you're thinking to yourself, so what's the kicker here? The kicker is this. I can't think of a time when I was given a last name. And at the time of review, I really had no idea how this EVP fit what we were doing. But it fits very, very well. As we're going up these steps, I get the EVP that said O'Reilly. Yeah, like the auto parts store. You know what I'm talking about. O'Reilly's. Well, O'Reilly. And when I heard it, I thought, am I hearing this right? But it just came across so clear. There wasn't like a thing where it had to be filtered or slowed down or sped up or change the EQ. Now, in the clip, I did up the volume a little bit to make it a little easier to hear. But it said O'Reilly. So now you're thinking, okay, what the heck is that? I figured it had to be a name or maybe by some crazy offshoot, maybe a place. You know, I just didn't know. I did not know. So the clip had been posted yesterday. So if you hadn't seen it yet, there are links on the page. Please check it out. Please, when you go on the page, please give us a like, give us a sub, give us a comment. Help an old guy out. I'll tell you, it helps that Google algorithm so much to help get real para out there. To get para out there that isn't running, screaming, and giggling, but real para. So please. Good morning, Debbie. So please give us a like, give us a sub, give us a comment. Helps us out tremendously. Okay, so now you saw the video and you're thinking to yourself, O'Reilly. Just what is that? Now, I'm going to sidebar this, but don't forget what I just told you. But I have to give you a sidebar, and then we're going to tie this all together. And this is a private investigation, so I can't give too many names or too many details. But you're going to get you're going to get the message soon. So just bear with me, okay? At this location, going up to the top of these stairs, a certain situation rose up. A certain scenario reared its ugly head. And let's just say situations and scenarios at times create a lot of strong energy that can imprint on the environment of the location. Now, if you've followed the paranormal for not any great length of time, that should be an obvious conclusion to you. If it isn't, I just gave you your first lesson, okay? So this area, does it have some kind of emotional charge, some kind of static charge, something imprinted on that area? Okay, so as I'm going up the steps, once again, I get the EVP O'Reilly. At this stage, no clue how this ties in to anything, okay? You know, EVPs is a lot more than just listening, getting a word, and going, hoo, we got an EVP. Because this really, really was an amazing scenario. So last night, Denny and the other people involved in that investigation, I'm not going to bring up names, like I said, because this is a private. we had our own little private chat thread going from this location. And a certain member of the team that night saw it, saw the post, and this EVP had a very big connection to this woman on the team that evening. Anybody got a question on what do you think that tie-in was? Personally, I would have not have guessed it in a million years. O'Reilly. Well, I found out what O'Reilly is. O'Reilly is the maiden name of the woman on the team that evening. Mind blown. Now, once again, I've been called out several times on locations over the years. It's not new. But I have never come across an EVP that used, number one, a last name, and number two, this was a maiden last name, not the current last name. Can you say winner, winner, chicken dinner? What a fantastic tie-in to the video. Okay, so now you know the secrets. Get on the page. There's a link to the video. You can watch the video right now. Like I said, please give us a like, give us a sub, give us a comment. It helps out tremendously. But is that not a mind blower? The last name given where the highly charged incident took place. You could investigate for 40 years till you come across something like that. Now, maybe some of you out there are going, well, 40 years. Well, my first investigation was 1985. 40 years. Mind blown. Fantastic tie-in, fantastic connection. And there's still more review to do. Now, on that same clip, a little bit later on, I call it in the church, they call it a sanctuary. Jamie is speaking, and Jamie's voice is not loud and booming like mine is. Okay, I mean, nothing wrong with that. But my point is this: as you listen, you have to listen under Jamie's voice, okay? Because an EVP came across in the church under Jamie's voice, and it said, "Don't live." I said I'm in a church here, okay? Don't live. And you got to listen to it. I really couldn't turn it up because as I turn up the EVP, good morning, Lori. Good to see you this morning. you also turn up Jamie's voice speaking, okay? So you got to listen. I did try to filter it a little bit to make it a little more clear, but I thought Don't Live was a very odd EVP to get in a church. But again, O'Reilly, mind blown. I have never had that happen in all the investigations that Dennis and I have done, and any investigations I've done, prior to Dennis and I being a team. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's what we got for the Monday Minute for today. Coming up this week, Thanksgiving. I wish you all the best. Share some of that if you can. Everybody, be good to each other. We're all we got. That is all we got. That being said, peace out.